Hello and welcome to It's Not So Lonely at the Top podcast. This is a podcast for business leaders and business owners just like you. We're going to be sharing top tips on how to develop yourself personally and professionally. I'm going to be sharing updated podcasts on a regular basis, so please do make sure you subscribe, and I really hope you enjoy today's podcast. Thank you for listening to today's podcast. I've got Mr. Kieran Lee, who is the founder, is that the correct title? MD of Evolve Technologies, who are based in Orton Southgate in Peterborough. You've got other businesses as well, haven't you? Yes. You rent office space as well?
Yes.
Milne Yard Square?
Yes.
Yes, you've got Milne Yard Square. I don't know whether you're happy to...
Let's not talk about the other stuff.
Let's not talk about the other stuff. Okay, cool. So, Evolve Technologies, an IT support company. I use them through my business at Flagship Partners. Absolutely awesome. So basically, when people who are rubbish at computers start with your business, they basically get them all set up with all of the Microsoft systems in there. I suppose other platforms are available.
Yeah, pick customers on the Google suite.
Yeah.
And
okay, so they do other stuff, but for us specifically, they get all the Microsoft licenses set up. They manage all of that. They fix computers when they break, supply computers set up, ready to use, deal with all of our cybersecurity and shit like that.
Which you do well.
Which we do well, thank you.
No.
Awesome. So we do cybersecurity well. You heard it here first. So if you are thinking about using Flagship Partners, we are your trusted partner. I think when you do consultancy and training, you have to like walk the talk, don't you? Do you get what I mean? Like, yeah, if you're preaching people to be professional, you kind of got to follow the rules.
No, I agree with that. And you know, we're pretty straight talking. We always turn around and say, you know, if you want to stay protected and you know keep on top of things, use these sort of tools, but they come at a cost. There's very few customers that turn around and just say, yeah, just do it. And you are one of them. So fair play.
Appreciate it.
I'm not going to argue with that. I think we did a very short demonstration to you about the tool that we use, which is the EDR tool, which you've got. Yeah. And you were there like, yeah, just install it.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen very often.
Right,
Normally there's a very lengthy debate and boards getting stuff signed off and, you know, do we really need a license for this, and this? And it's like, yes.
Yeah,
and, you know, sometimes it takes months to get something like that across the line. So the customers that I have that turn around and just say, yeah, just do it.
Yeah.
I need more of those.
Yeah, okay.
So if there's anyone listening that want to just say yes to stuff, tap me up. That's all I'm saying.
You're in for that.
I'm there. I'm here for that. So.
Cool. So yeah, Kieran runs and owns Evolve Technologies, which is really your core business.
Yeah,
that's your main thing, keeping your main thing. So, Kieran, for the listeners, tell us a bit more. You know, how long have you been running Evolve? Why IT? You know.
Okay. Yeah. So Evolve's been running for 9 years in August. Yep, 2017. I started out in IT when I was 16 with a bloke local to where I am from. Still really good friends with him now. He taught me everything I know. We even do deals and stuff together now. Top bloke and really decent businessman. And then I got a job somewhere else and sort of. We won't go into that. Just in case.
Kieran has skeletons.
Yes, just in case they're listening, which they probably will. Then we ended up leaving there and starting Evolve and, you know, can't work with everybody sort of thing.
Of course.
We've sort of grown, got bigger and bigger, more staff, bought some premise in 2019 and didn't use all of the space. So like you said, carved it up into a bit of office space. And that's just gone really well. You know, got some clients as well from that, and you know, it's gone really well. We do okay, and we're not planning on going anywhere. And we've introduced a different setup from sort of, I think it was mid 2024, where we have salespeople and account managers and a whole new streamlined sales process. And since then, it's gone mad. So yeah, we're really busy at the minute, and long may it continue. I know there's a lot of industries out there, businesses that are struggling, and I think we're in a good place.
So, if people are listening and they're thinking about their IT, because I think it's one of the big challenges I find when I coach different business owners and that kind of thing, that they tend to not really prioritize it and realize how much of a challenge it is for them. What sort of challenges are people having if they're looking at this and thinking, I need to change IT provider? Well, like, what's the challenge? What's normally the bite that makes them come and work with you?
Yeah, so when we interview like sales staff and account managers and things like that, I always say it's a really difficult sale. You know, for most companies, you know, yours included, we're like sort of the left arm of most businesses. So it tends to mean that their current IT provider, A, has to be very expensive for them to want to leave, or they've done something really wrong.
Okay.
You know, even sometimes a bad service isn't enough justification for someone to leave because it's just convenience. Better than the devil, you know, and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So we are fairly priced. We do offer a really good service. You know, our clients call us around the clock. We're 24/7 within reason, as long as it's not a silly request. You know, if it's urgent, we're there. We use third-party call centers for virus breakouts and detection and things like that. So, you know, we're around the clock go-to. We don't just do IT service and support. We do telecoms and connectivity, CCTV, access control. We've just started working really closely with a monitoring station, which does like airports and things like that. So that's an additional service that we now offer. There is some additional stuff coming at the end of March as well. I'm not going to talk about that yet because it's not ready.
Okay, cool. That's fine.
But I'll tell you
I shan't probe you on it.
I'll tell you about that after.
Okay.
You'll like that. So yeah, no, it's been really good. I've known deals take sort of 18 months to get across the lines before. You know, it's just back and forth. Do we need this? Do we need that? And then in some occasions, we just turn up to a meeting. They like us, and they go, "Yeah, all right, let's do it."
Yeah, let's go. Yeah.
Once again, they're the customers we like.
Of course,
they're the ones we want.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, that tends to be how things go for us.
Okay, cool. And like, I suppose sometimes there's some quite stressful things that occur. So you deal with cybersecurity breaches and issues like that, and viruses and all that sort of thing. So what's like, you know, what's the risk of people not taking control of those things? Like, how catastrophic does it get?
Sort of on the back end of your previous question, you know, people not taking it seriously. You know, the ones where you say, you know, this is what you need. We don't want to pay that. Well, they're putting themselves at risk. And I'll use an example that we did last year. We had quite a few instances last year, and I know a lot of businesses did. There were some like organised crime gangs basically last year that were causing no end of issues. One of our customers in particular really badly hit, and we had to basically rebuild their entire network. And I was saying to someone this morning that was in May last year, and we've only just finished restoring their data this week.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's how long it sort of took. Because of the size of them, the EDR tool that we recommend would have been particularly expensive for them, so they just didn't want to do it. Ironically, they've got it now, which is, you know.
Yeah, sure. After the horse has bolted.
Absolutely. And that happens all the time, you know. People will always have something happen to them, and then they take it seriously. But prior to that, no one cares. You know,
sure.
IT, like you said, it's there. It's needed, but it's not important to most people.
Sure.
You know, we had a meeting with British Sugar not so long ago, and the guy basically turned around and went, "All of this sounds really good, but will it help us make more sugar?" And I was like, "No." And he went, "Well, I'm not going to get it across the line then." And I'm there like, "Okay." So that's what happened. We ended up doing a bit of work for them. There was some wireless stuff and bits and bobs like that, but yeah, they never went ahead with like the whole security bundle side of things.
Okay. So I guess, and if you don't mind, just move your microphone a little bit closer, if that's all right. Yeah, just tap it a bit closer. Awesome, cool. So it can go pretty catastrophically wrong. What, like, you know, financially, what's the impact potentially? Because one of the things that really surprised me or got me thinking was that actually I'm the weak link. A lot of business owners will be watching this and thinking, well, you know, we're a smallish business. We're not as big as the likes of, say, British Sugar, for example, who are obviously a bigger organisation. But the thing is like my understanding with cybersecurity is actually we're seen as the weak link because we're the smaller business who are dealing with the bigger operators, and therefore we're the route in. And that
is exactly it. Yeah. So they want to target the smaller industries, you know, because we all deal with the bigger parties, and we're easy. In their eyes, we're actually easier to crack. But 9 times out of 10, the bigger industries probably spend less than we do.
Right. Okay.
We find more vulnerabilities the bigger the customer gets.
Wow. Okay.
Because there's more routes in. But at the same time, they'll come in, they'll farm our client bases, they'll learn who we're dealing with, and then they go after those sort of contacts within those larger organisations. In terms of cost, it's difficult to say. Depends on what the industry is and what you're doing. But a good example that I always use in a meeting would be to say, to whoever I'm speaking with, what do you charge an hour? If you turn around to me now and said you charge 300 quid an hour, and I said to you, right, if you got hit with, say, old school cryptable virus, which especially where they come in and they crypt all your data, if you got hit with something like that, I know how much data you've got roughly, and you'd be offline. Well, we'd need to restore everything. Probably take us about 7 days.
Wow.
So if you're charging 300 quid an hour and you're potentially offline to up to 7 days, yes, you'd have email and things like that. But if there's files and things that we just need to restore in bulk, you're at least going to be offline for 2 days.
Yeah. Crazy.
And everyone always says, I've got backups. I've got a backup here. I've got a backup there. I've got one offsite. Yeah, but if you've got 200 terabytes of data, it takes years to restore.
Sure.
We're restoring about 300 terabytes of data, and we've got it on a 10 gig network that's next to each other. The kit's piled on top of each other, and like I said, that's taken 9 months to restore.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's quite frightening, isn't it?
For the first month, 3 weeks of that, there was 250 members of staff sat looking at a dead screen, pushing a few emails about. So you can only imagine the loss of business there.
Yeah.
10 sites, 12 sites.
Crazy.
Yeah,
Crazy. Okay, cool. So so now we've scared the shit out of everybody.
Yeah.
That's good. Call Kieran, right? Yeah. Better call Kieran. I'm sure there's a TV program there.
We can make one.
Yeah. Okay, so tell me about your leadership. How do you find running a team of people? What would they say if I asked them? Because you're quite controversial sometimes. So if I was to go in your team and I was like, I lock you in the toilet and just spoke to the team candidly, what would they say?
I don't know.
Okay.
I think it depends on which team member you asked.
Right, okay.
I always would refer to myself as tough but fair.
Okay.
I look after the people that look after me, and that's my sort of stance on it.
Yeah, okay.
So it depends if I've upset that member of staff within that time period you're asking. But yeah, I would say that it's. I know how much pressure we can be under at certain times. So when things are going well and we're just doing project work, nothing's really hitting the fan, should I say. I am relaxed, do this, do that, take your time. We don't want to rush anything or do anything wrong. But when pressure's high, I would say I'm probably more, come on, we've got to crack on and sort it out. All of the team are flexible with me because they know I'm flexible with them, i.e., if they need to stay late, they stay late. If they come in early, they come in early. We've got a team of people down in Wellingborough today running loads of fibre cable because we've got so many daylight hours. They know we've got to do it in a day, so they started early, they'll finish late. Okay. And, I'm flexible, tough but fair. Key. At the end of the day, they support my business, so I need to support them. We pay well, we look after them, they get loads of benefits. We do death and service, private medical, you name it, they get it.
Okay. I was going to say, one of the things that always surprises me, actually, having been a client of yours, I think, for 5 years, probably 6 years now.
More than that, I think.
Well,
2018?
Yeah, 2018. So yes, what, 7 years? 7 or 8 years. So day one, we've not had another IT company. So from day one, right, you've got a lot of staff that have been there the whole time.
Yes.
So people do come and stay, which is quite surprising considering how controversial you are.
So I always say in the interview, when we do interviews, doesn't matter what role you're taking, is that just because of how the office environment is, because we all take the piss out of each other, it's hilarious. We don't want to take things seriously until we need to.
Sure.
Everyone, I just want everyone to enjoy coming to work. I've always said, if you don't enjoy doing what you do, don't do it.
Sure.
So I always say in the interview stage that people tend to last 2 weeks or 2 years. And if you do 2 years, you're there forever.
Sure.
And yes, there's quite a few members of the original team still with us. And I think now, as it stands, I've got another 3 that have joined in, say, the past probably 2 years that will definitely stay for quite some time.
Sure.
And they're brilliant members of staff. So don't want them to go anywhere. But then, like you said, we get people that come, they're there 6 months and they feel like they don't fit in. And you can always tell. You can tell in the first 2 weeks how they're going to get on. But no, really happy with my team at the minute. Yeah. Can't complain.
To be fair, I run it quite similar. I think if people are going to make it to 2 years, they're going to last the course, right? But I tend to part company with people quite early if they're not a good fit, because it's usually the best way. The best way to make it happen.
I think we've had many a discussion about people that we want to remove quickly. In the past, I know we've spoke on the phone, definitely, to rant at one another about people that we need to chop. And, sometimes it's not necessarily that they don't fit in personality-wise. Even sometimes there's a skill gap where we do a technical test for engineers when they join up to us, and I don't know how they wing it. Some of them do, but
okay, so I guess the next question is around with what's like when it comes to employing people and having people. What's like the one thing that pisses you off the most? Because I know there's some stuff that really pisses you off. Like, give me like a couple of things that people can do that really, really grinds your gears.
It's a debate that we've had in our office for years, and that is experience versus education.
Okay.
And over time, we've had people apply for jobs. They've come in, I've got a degree in this, I've got a degree in that. I don't care. It just says to me that you've got a lot of debt, and you've been sat in a boardroom somewhere for the past 8 years learning how to click a mouse. Whereas if someone comes in and says, I've got 6 years experience in an MSP, gold dust. Because
what is an MSP, sorry?
Microsoft service provider.
Right, okay. Yeah.
So the reason I say they're like gold dust is because we deal with multiple types of businesses and they've all got different setups. Even internal IT people can sometimes have issues because they've only worked with a certain setup. They're used to seeing the same things all day, every day.
Sure.
If they deal with multiple clients with multiple different setups, and then they come to somewhere like us, they just fit in so perfectly because, yes, quite a lot of our sort of smaller to mid-range clients have similar setups, but we do have the larger clients that are different, complex setups, servers, blah, 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 blah. So to be able to adapt to those unique environments, depending on what call comes through, it's worth its weight in gold.
Yeah,
I would say that's the biggest thing that gets to me, is when people with degrees think they're better than everyone else.
Right. Okay.
Educated people, sorry if you listen, I have issues with sometimes, but they don't tend to be from the real world.
Yeah.
They tend to be towards the left side of things. And I don't necessarily get on with those people.
Would you say you're right wing?
Do you know who, what's his name? The Russian geezer. I can't remember his name.
Not Putin.
No, he's lived in the UK for years. Kristen something. I can't think of his name. But he turns around and he says, I don't label it. I just want someone to do the right thing for people.
Yeah.
And would I say I'm right wing? Probably, but not really. I just want what's best for me, and that's not me being selfish because I'm in a position like you. So when I say I want something that's best for me and a system that's best for me, I'm talking about everyone who does what I do, which is run a business and employ people. And it tends to be us that get forgotten about and leached off. It makes me angry.
Sure. And I think you're absolutely right that things have kind of gone in the wrong direction most recently, haven't they? And it's quite challenging at the moment. To say
I love how we're only 15 minutes in. We've already started talking about politics. So it's definitely a conversation that I normally try and avoid because that's one of my views.
I tend to try and avoid it as well. But I know that some of the most interesting things we could probably talk about is your view. I know that you're a bit against sort of wokeness, just in general.
Are we allowed to have this conversation?
Yeah, of course we are.
Of course we are. Wokeness, yeah, it does make me laugh, and I am going to send you that geezer's video that I watched, and you'll crease as well. And he basically just tears them to pieces. But it all comes down to, like I said, it tends to be people that do media studies and stuff like that, they think they know everything about the world, but they've never had a sample of it. And you just have to listen to them and just laugh, because if you don't, you get angry. That American senator that says, hopefully God gives me patience, because if he gives me strength, I'm going to use it. That always makes me laugh. He's funny, Kenny something. But yeah, I would say that I just have a very, very small tolerance for what I would call stupidity. Okay. Maybe they're not stupid. Maybe they're really smart and I'm stupid. But I can only listen to myself.
No, sure. And I think when you look at stuff, I think my biggest challenge is like there's this, and I don't know whether it will resonate with you or not, but there seems to be this kind of like self-indulgence that people have around like, well, I'm this and I'm that, and they like to label themselves certain things. And I look at it and I think, if we were living 60 years ago, 70 years ago in the Second World War, like these things would be the least of your...
70 years ago, Second World War? Your dates are out, mate.
Maybe I know what you mean,
though. Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like if we were about during the Second World War, if we had like real genuine things to worry about, like security and safety and those kinds of things,
no chance.
Yeah,
We're doomed.
Yeah, we'd be doomed, wouldn't we? We'd be doomed.
I'd go to an island by myself, just wave the white flag. They can come and use it for whatever they want. I'll just sit there by myself, watch them go by. Yeah, no, it's not good. No one speaks their mind anymore. Everyone's scared to offend someone.
Exactly.
It's an issue that I face. You know that a lot of people turn around to me and say, "You just say it how it is," and I try and be nice about it, but sometimes people just. I'm not horrible, but sometimes people just need to hear it. If everyone always told you what you wanted to hear, would you get anywhere in life?
No, probably not. Yeah. Tell me about the biggest complaint you've had.
The biggest complaint I've ever had. The biggest complaint we've ever had.
And I don't necessarily mean, it doesn't necessarily just need to be in the business, but just for you in general. Like for maybe something you've said or someone you've upset.
People all the time. I wouldn't even be able to tell you. Work-wise, the biggest complaint I think we've had was we missed a deadline for something by a couple of days and it cost them a contract. But I won't go into that. It wasn't necessarily our fault. They didn't want to put the systems
I was looking
place.
more for where you shared your opinion on something and like really upset somebody.
Yeah. Biggest complaint I've had personally, I don't know. There's been loads over the years. And do you know what? The worst thing I hate is when it's someone else that comes and says, "Oh, this person said this. You've said this to this person. They've not agreed with it. And can you go and apologise?" No. You don't need everyone to like you. You don't need everyone to get on with you. At the end of the day, and if they're crying about it, they don't want to hear it, and it probably makes it even more true.
Of course.
I'm sounding very arrogant here, but oh well.
It made me laugh. So I think one of the stories goes in a group that we're both members of. There was a situation where you called another group member Jewish, like not being a Jew because they're not invested in the right bit of equipment or something.
I remember that. Yeah.
We're probably not allowed to say that. It sounds anti-Semitic, and obviously. I've got Jewish heritage from back in the day. So, interestingly, someone got offended on my behalf.
That was it. I do remember. You weren't there. And
I wasn't there. Someone got offended on my behalf.
I bet you wouldn't have said that if Pete was in the room. And I was like, at the time, why wouldn't I have said that? I can't remember what it was to do with.
It's to do with Ruben not buying a new laptop or something.
That was it, yeah. That was it, yeah. And I said, he's being a Jew and he won't buy a new laptop. Someone proper kicked off and they were there like, oh, if Pete was in the room, he'd have been deeply offended by it. And I was there like, buddy? So I've known Pete for years. I don't think he'd give a fuck. And they were there like, yeah, well, you bet. Someone will tell him, you better call him now and apologise. And they're like, fuck off. Fucking calling him and apologising for something that A, he doesn't even know I've said, and B, he won't care about anyway. And that's a prime example right there of people getting offended for other people. I mean,
it's a reach, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's a reach.
I mean, I was talking to you about Peterson Jordan Peterson, great topic. We'll touch on it briefly, but I've been to see two of Peterson's actually. I know you've done a couple.
I have, yeah.
And his whole, I've read his books and I watch a lot of his podcasts and stuff. But if you narrow it down to a simple sort of couple of sentences, his entire ethos and his philosophy is: if you look after yourself, the people around you have a better time. And and that's why when people start getting offended for other people and like that, I'm just like, just sort yourselves out,
Yeah.
And they cry about their lives. There's a recent member at that said group as well that's not left not so long ago, cries about everything, moans about everything in life. Oh, this has happened to me, that's happened to me. Well, do something about it.
Yeah.
Either do something about it, stop moaning about it. Who are you moaning to? No one cares.
Yeah.
Realistically, you'll get people that come up. Oh, you're all right. Hug.
Yeah. Well, John Peterson's really interesting. The last one I went to was at the O2, and I think my biggest takeaway, he was talking about ARC, Association for Responsible Citizens, or something like that. I've forgotten the exact concept he was talking about, but the principle's quite simple, right? And that is that our individual responsibility is to develop ourselves to a point where we're properly self-sufficient, so we can look after ourselves and not worry about the things that go on around us. And then once we're competent at looking after ourselves, we can then have a family and potentially look after other people who are close to us. And then once we're competent at running a family, potentially then we can then reach out to become members of a community where we then take care of other people in the community. And that's kind of our responsibility, that as we get more competent, we then serve and support other people. But until we're competent at looking after ourselves, we probably shouldn't be taking on further responsibility.
It's one of the rules in his first book, and it's isn't it something like get your house in order before you criticise the world or something like that? That's
exactly it.
Yeah. So I do really.
Yeah.
And like I said, he did the 12 more rules afterwards.
12 rules for life and 12 more rules. Yeah.
Yeah. I've only read that one once or twice, but the first one I've read quite a few times. And like I said, it all comes down to if you can put yourself and look after yourself, you tend to find that the people that you're then looking after or friends with, they'll come to you and they'll say, look, what about this? What about that? And you tend to have more generic friends and better relations with these people if you can just look after yourself first. I mean, I obviously, people come to me for advice because I give honest opinions, I think.
Absolutely, yeah.
I wish I could listen to my own advice sometimes.
Sure, yeah. Well, it can be easier to give other people advice than to take your own, right?
Boy, can it. I make terrible decisions all the time, unfortunately.
Go on, what's your worst decision? You've led me down that path, mate. You've led me down that path.
We're not touching on
all
that.
Right, what's your worst decision that you can possibly share on camera?
I can just think of so many that I don't want to share.
Well, you need to be able to share it for it to be relevant for people. Have I cornered you there?
Yeah, you've got me there.
All right.
Let's put it this way. I think if we was to roundabout figure it, I would say for every 200 things I've done wrong in my life, I've probably got one right.
Right, okay.
So
your success rate for decision making is about 0.5%.
It's not good. But I also think, in its own way, that's probably a key to success.
Okay.
Because if you don't make bad decisions or don't cock everything up, how are you going to learn? And then it's how you pick yourself back up afterwards as well.
I think that's one of the things I probably admire about you is that I think that you're not afraid to make a mistake. Some people are so scared of making a mistake that they take no action.
Yeah, I'm gonna name drop Tim Gibb here because we were talking about it again this morning. Okay. I said to him a couple of weeks ago.
So Tim's the owner of Crown Lodge Hotel, yeah?
Yeah. Tim. I said to him a couple of weeks ago, there's a few of us sat around the table, I think Waste was there. Anyway, and I said, if you had to flip a coin and double, if it's heads, you double everything you've got. And, just on the spot, your net worth or whatever you want to label it down to, you double it all. If it's tails, you lose the lot and start again.
Yeah, double or quits.
How many times would you flip the coin?
Oof. How many times would I flip the coin? So I don't know that I actually would in the first place.
I said 7.
Right, okay.
It's a good number. It's a lucky number for me. I said 7. And everyone else at the table said they wouldn't flip it. They wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
I think there was about 4 or 5 of us sat around the table. And then this week, Tim sat down and he goes, I thought of you the other day. I goes, all right, yeah. He goes, yeah, one of my mates, he bought a truck, Amarok truck, 38 grand or whatever. Yeah. And he goes, he went to the Irish races.
Yeah.
And this horse was guaranteed certified winner.
Yeah.
So he turned around, his mate turned around and went, it's not going to win. Mm-hmm. And he goes, no, it's going to win. I'll bet my truck on it. Oh. That he just bought.
Yeah.
And he goes, all right, I'll do an equal level value bet. So 38 grand. If it wins, I'll give you 38 grand. If it loses, you give me the truck. And it lost. And the guy's now leasing the truck back to him. And that's the sort of stuff where, on the spot like that, probably I wouldn't do it for like a truck or anything like that. I'm not worried about stuff like that. Doesn't bother me. But in a moment like that where someone said, double everything you've got or walk away, I'd do it countless times.
Really?
Yeah.
And is that because you're not scared of losing it? Where does that come from?
I don't know. Inner gambler, probably.
Okay.
But at the same time, you can always earn it back.
Yeah. Well, it is interesting, isn't it? Because I've started coaching someone recently that recognises himself as a gambler, and it's interesting. It's interesting, sort of listening and understanding the mindset behind the gambling mindset, which is around wanting it to stop. There's an element of like getting to the end, if that makes sense. So because you're always open to gambling, it's like, well, when do you stop? When do you make a decision to go, there's enough there? Obviously, if you've got the mindset of going, well, I wouldn't engage in the 50-50 coin toss. But if you would, there has to be, well, when does it stop?
I suppose
7 times.
I asked someone it not so long ago, because it's always a good conversation to have with various people. You can find out a lot from a person by having that conversation with them. Sure. And they turned around and said they wouldn't do it. The reason wasn't to do with starting from scratch. It was family related, which also makes sense because when I say you flip it and lose everything, you lose the lot.
Of course.
Probably bar kids. You get to keep those.
Yeah. But you can't feed them or clothe them because you've lost everything.
True. But
you
can always earn more money.
You can always
start again and earn money. Money effectively grows on trees. As long as you can be bothered to go out and earn it, you will earn it.
Of course,
Starting is the first step. For me, the reason my argument to why I'd probably just keep on flipping it is because I'd need to have so much money to keep myself entertained, because if I didn't work, I'd be bored.
Yeah.
And we were talking about a certain franchise not so long ago, and their method of, their whole ethos is employ staff, work on the business to the point where you don't have to be in it, so you can sell it. Mm-hmm. Well, what if you don't want to sell it? What would you do if someone say, what's your price? 5 million quid, for example. If someone turned around to you and goes, right, it's 5 million quid, goodbye.
Off you go.
But you're not allowed to work again. What would you do?
Oh, fuck it, I couldn't do it.
You'd go nuts, wouldn't you?
I couldn't do it.
Yeah,
I couldn't do it.
You're not that much older than me, are you?
40. I'm 40. Yeah, I'm 40. But no, I couldn't do it. I have to. Be bored. No, absolutely. I derive my value from the contribution I make to people. So.
Yeah, and it's not just you go to work for work. In our situation, there's a lot of people that do just go to work to earn money. I would say that over the years, I've made some really good friends, and I would not have met them if it wasn't through work. So there's the social aspect, which the whole, could go into the conversation there of working from home and how much that's killing people.
Yeah, for sure.
The whole social mindset there is horrendous. I love being in the office. I love going to work, talking to everyone every day. And, I've got a really good relationship with quite a few members of my staff. We're good mates. I would class us as friends. Mm-hmm. And, without going into the office, without work in the business, I wouldn't have that. Mm-hmm. So all these people that sort of don't go to work, what do they do? Yeah. They must be driving themselves nuts. I'd be so bored. Mm-hmm. I would need to flip that coin so many times just so I've got enough money to endless amounts to do stuff all day, every day.
Well, because I suppose you take away that ability to earn, and you've got to keep yourself busy and entertained, haven't you?
And it's if then my argument is if I then at say coin flip number 4 lost, well at least I've got something to occupy my time because I've got to start again.
Are you scared of losing it all?
Yes and no, but for random reasons.
Okay.
Like I just said, I've got a good relationship with quite a few members of my staff, and because of how we sort of function as a business and what we do, I think they would now struggle to find work elsewhere. So one of the reasons I would hate to see it fold is because it puts their livelihoods at risk.
Fuck it, mate.
Oh no, it's soft, isn't it?
Mate,
soft.
I never knew you were that
But
soft.
There's 2 or 3 of them in particular that I'd hate to see looking for a job.
Right.
So-
Because they're unemployable apart from by
I
you.
would say that it's not that they're unemployable. It's just that, you create a whole sort of ecosystem in our place that would make them unsuitable for somewhere else. It would
Yeah,
take
of
some
course.
adapting for them to go
Yeah, of
elsewhere.
course.
And I would hate for that to happen.
Okay.
But am I scared? Don't know. Don't know. It's never been on the cards. We've always done well.
Yeah, sure.
And long may that continue, hopefully.
Yeah,
So
sure. One of the things that I sometimes do that my wife really ridicules me for, Maggie really ridicules me for it, is sometimes I'll get a pendulum out and I'll pendulum decisions. Like we were talking about flipping a coin, right? So one of the things that's really interesting about flipping a coin, because people tell themselves stories when they've got to make decisions. When you said around double or quits, for example, right? So you've got to make a decision about something. I was thinking about the flipping of a coin. Sometimes I'll get people to do that if they really are on the fence and don't know what to do. One of the best things to do is go, right, heads one way, tails the other. I'm going to flip a coin, because the best way to know what the right decision is when that coin's in the air, because all of a sudden you know which one you want it to fall on, and then you know.
Yeah, it's like an impulse thing.
Exactly
almost.
that.
Yeah.
Exactly that. So little bit of advice for you. And pendulum's very similar, because the idea is, the pendulum just swings, right? And then your unconscious brain has to decide whether it's swinging for yes or for no for something. So
I do like that. Yeah.
yeah. I know my missus thinks I'm super woo woo doing it. So she videoed me the other day and put it on the family group chat, going, what's happened to my husband.
He's gone nuts.
Yeah, my husband's gone nuts.
Yeah.
But I sometimes think when you do, there's a really interesting thing there around people who need to control everything. Like, the reality is there's no way that you can control everything, because there's so much that goes on that's outside of our control. If that makes sense. What you mean. Yeah, so do you understand where I'm going? So there's this element of actual, personal development is all around understanding the fact that we're all kind of like the example Bevis uses is like you like rowing a boat down this river, and it's kind of taking you certain ways, there's rocks in the way, so you kind of like use your oar here to go there, whereas in reality you could sort of just take I'll just fucking oars up and see what happens. Bit of surrender.
Gamble.
Yeah, exactly. Which goes back to an element of gambling.
I should have probably mentioned it. One of the best ones we've got in the office at the minute is we've got like the dashboard PCs, which monitor all the bits and bobs that are going on. Occasionally, a job will come up, whether it means we've got to go out to site or something. Who wants to do this? Everyone says no. We do a marble run on the TV. Whoever comes last has to go do the job.
Okay, how does that work? A marble run
It's on
the
like a game engine thing, and
right, okay.
we just it puts a name above a marble,
and it's just random.
And then the person who makes it to the bottom last loses, has to go do the job.
Okay,
because that way no one's the bad person. Then fate has decided
that
you're doing the job. So, and it works.
Yeah. Well, no one can complain because it's fair.
No one can complain because it's fair. It's normally printer related. Everyone hates printers in that place. Yeah, I hate printers.
Yeah, I hate printers.
Who prints stuff anymore?
Anyway? Yeah, exactly. There's no need for paper. Okay, so we're talking about fears then. So what most scares you?
Open water.
Oh, really? Right,
I have a terrible fear of open water. That's why I could never do a cruise ship.
Really?
As long as I can see land, because I'm not a very good swimmer to the point where it's not good at all. So it's random, isn't it? So yeah, if I can't see land, I just sort of panic. I don't know why. Okay. It's happened once or twice. But aeroplanes, I've got pilot's license. I had it. So yeah, no, absolutely fine with aeroplanes and stuff. Okay. But yeah, open water.
Open water. You're scared of deep water.
Yeah.
And because you can't swim. I would have thought that you could afford swimming lessons.
Piss off. I can swim a little bit. Doggy paddle. I'm not. It's not something that I would say I'm very good at.
All right. Okay.
So
I'm not the best swimmer.
No, it's awful. I had swimming lessons when I was a kid, but stopped quite early on. Don't do it. No.
Okay. I'm really interested in this conversation around risk. I think that's quite interesting because you strike me as someone who's not averse to a bit of risk.
Absolutely not.
Not averse to a bit of risk. How do you evaluate? So the traditional way of evaluating something is, so if you look at a basic risk assessment, you'd look at the potential consequences of something. So you look at the thing you want to do and you look at the consequences.
We're talking about that conversation from earlier now, aren't we?
You're looking at the consequences of it. And to evaluate risk, you're working out, well, how catastrophic is it? And then what's the likelihood of the catastrophe occurring? So you then carry out a level of risk assessment, but it strikes me that you're quite averse to risk. And I guess that's driven by not fearing things.
There's a couple of things. I was listening to a podcast not so long ago, and they turned around and said, there was a guy on it, and he turned around and said, if you've got a problem, and it's sort of linked, I'll get to it in a minute. And he turned around and said, if you've got a problem, write down your problem, everything that's there, and he says, cross out the things that you have no control over, and then see what's left.
Okay.
I do that a lot. Whether I do it, live, because I can have notepad and pen because I'm old school, which is ironic considering I'm an IT company. But yeah, I do it live. I write down a problem. I cross out everything I've got no control over. I see where I'm at, and then I will gauge a decision on my level of control over that issue. And whether that, depending on the circumstance, does it make you look narcissistic, manipulative? Probably all the words, but you've got to be. If you don't, in certain situations, not just in business, but in personal lives as well, if you're not selfish sometimes and you're constantly worrying, this is my opinion, it's probably really bad and you're probably I'm going to get slated for this.
I was going to say, what could go wrong? What could go wrong?
If you don't make decisions sometimes that are for the pure benefit of yourself, what's the point? I say I take a lot of risk and things like that. I would rather take a really high risk that is going to massively benefit myself, because I know that at certain points in my life, I've not been at rock bottom, but pretty low, and I've sorted it out. So I would always wage it on that. I would say, at my best, I've been here. At my worst, I've been here. So as long as the outcome is somewhere in the middle, I'll take that risk.
Hi, my name's Pete, and I want to thank you for tuning into today's podcast. I'm a coach, speaker, and author. And if you want to take your personal development that bit further, did you know that I offer a mastermind program as well as one-to-one coaching? If you're interested, please do reach out on peterushmer.com.
And I hope that makes sense, because I've sort of thought of it on the spot.
That does make sense. So you've got a decision impending that could really benefit you, but there's some risk involved. As long as it doesn't take you past the rock bottom that you've previously been, you're going to be okay.
Pretty much, yeah. That's more for like a should we call it a mental, emotional state?
Sure.
Decision making.
Sure.
If it's financial, as long as it's not putting anyone else at risk, then I'll probably do it.
Yeah, okay. So, I think one of the things that I find quite interesting is you said about narcissism and arrogance and those kinds of things. They're all things that, have you been called those things before?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. How's that feel?
Oh, don't bother me in the slightest. Okay. No. If anything else, we sleep better, because it means that people that tend to call you that is because you've made decisions that benefit just you.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, they call you that because they can't. Once again, this is all my opinion.
No,
it tends to be that
and this is why you're here, because I'm interested.
They can't understand why you've made that decision. Not necessarily because it's wrong. I don't think. I think it's because they wouldn't have done it.
Okay,
and that's why you get called stuff like that.
Okay,
but it doesn't bother me in the slightest. I can smell them from a mile away.
Sure.
When you act on behalf of yourself, more often you will see people that try to manipulate you and get one up on you. and I've got a really good radar for it. I like to think I have, and I call it out straight away, and I shut it down. So I know a bad person when I meet them, and I don't need people to like me.
Yeah,
I can,
And I guess that's probably a key differentiator for you from a lot of people, and probably what leads to people maybe thinking that there's an arrogance or narcissism there, is that you really don't care what they think.
No, not in the slightest.
Where does that come from? Why are you not bothered? Because if I was to survey 100% of people, I genuinely believe that that's like a 1% thing, if that makes sense. That
Maybe.
it's quite unusual for people to really not care what other people think.
Because how, once again, probably comes back to being selfish. If they don't like you, does it really impact you?
Only if you care about what they think.
But I don't. Because they're not in, I take quite a long time to warm to people, as you know.
Of course.
And, I if I see someone that I think I'm going to get along with, I'll talk to them, go out, social events, all that sort of gumph. And then, this sort of, I keep those people in my circle. I've got bad friends, they are my mates. They're crap. But I've got some really solid mates that I've had for years and years and years, like school, and they're just good people. So if I come across someone that wants to say all this stuff about me, I ain't gonna lose any sleep over it. Someone's probably said worse at some point. It just doesn't affect me. It just doesn't bother me at all.
Okay.
It's not good to want everyone to like you, and I know people that are desperate for everyone to like them.
Yeah.
It's like, just why?
I think that's it is interesting because there's an element of, I think this is why I find it interesting, because there's this element of conditioning that we have. So generally speaking, most people's outlooks on life are based on, there's an element of nature, but mostly it's nurture. It's the way we've been brought up. So for example, like, we please our parents, they reward us. That's kind of how life works, isn't it? Like, you do good things for your parents.
My parents would probably disagree. I've been nothing but a pain in the arse for my mum.
This is what's interesting, right? Because I guess you've got a slightly different outlook to what I would say is generally the norm based on my experience. I'm not saying statistically or anything like that, but generally speaking, a lot of people are people pleasers. Like, they behave in a way to make people to please people. And generally speaking, I think it's the reward mechanism that basically we get conditioned from a young age, whether it's through school, whether it's through our parenting, through whatever it may be, just traditional ways of doing things in the UK. I don't know what other countries are like because I've not grown up in other countries, but generally speaking, most of the people I deal with have grown up in the UK, and generally speaking, we're brought up to be rewarded for doing stuff that makes other people happy.
I agree.
Yeah. And that then leads to people pleasing. But interestingly, you've kind of gone, not for me, that.
No.
Oh, so what's different?
I've never been asked that question. I don't know.
That's why I'm good at interviewing people.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I suppose there are certain people where I'd like them to have a good view of me. But I would think that the people that I do want that do have a good view of me.
Sure.
And I would, if they needed me, I'd be there for them.
Sure.
So, does that? I don't know. I've never really thought about that one. I'll probably have to come back to you on that one.
No, that's okay. Because I think you strike me as someone who is very clear on the fact that they can please some of the people some of the time, not all the people all the time, and you're okay with that, if that makes sense. So, I think you've probably got my understanding is you've got a relatively small circle, and actually those people do matter, and what they think matters.
There's about 10.
Yeah, okay. So there's a small circle of people that really matter. And then generally speaking, the rest of it is like, if it pleases me, that's good enough.
Yeah. Well, everyone has good friends and bad friends. Yeah. And people that think they've only got good friends, delusional. And, like I said to you previously, I've had periods in my life where I've sort of been not too great. And it was at that time when there was a pool of friends where I thought, fucking hell, they're good mates. And they're the ones where I'd probably do anything for.
Okay.
And then there's somewhere they're just there for the goss, they're there for the drama. And I'm like, go away.
Yeah, can't be doing with that.
And another ability I'd say I have, don't know if it's good or very bad, but I could just cut people off like that. I can just wake up and they're dead to me.
Yeah, okay.
Just don't have time for it. Life is very short.
It is. It is very short. Particularly if you make bad decisions regularly.
Thank you.
I'm not saying that you have.
No, I do.
But you seem pretty open about making bad decisions, because you'd make 1 in 200 well.
Yeah. Do you know what? I say it's 1 in 200. It's probably more. 1 in 200 is probably being nice. It's a lot. But I don't mind. It don't bother me. But yeah, I get up, I go to work. I do it to earn money. I do it to have a life.
Yeah.
I'm not bothered about.
Would you say you're competent?
Would I say I'm competent? Depends what it is.
Okay.
What am I competent? What you ask? Competent in what?
Just at life.
No.
No. Okay.
I'd say no.
Okay.
I'd probably say I've got too much wrong to be competent at life.
Right,
there are things that the list of stuff that I'm very good at is a lot smaller than the stuff that I'm very bad at.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's interesting.
But I think if people were honest with themselves, I think they'd say the same.
Yeah. It's just interesting. I think the reason I ask it is because I look at so I often think like the measure of people is how competent they are, if that makes sense. So like, and I'm not saying this is the same for everyone, but I admire competence in people. That's what we often tend to admire.
How are we friends?
Well, no, because I think you come across as very competent. You come across as very competent. You've done, you've done very well in life.
But we were business relationship first.
Sure.
So the reason you say that is because we do what we do it well. Yeah, so there you go. But if we were friends first and we'd been friends for say the past, when did it start going down? 20 years, say call it. You'd be there like, nah, he makes a lot of poor choices. So I suppose you look. That's why I said overall probably I'm not. But in the working environment that we had to start with, then yes, I want to offer a decent service and I want to make sure that we keep a good reputation.
Yeah.
We can't please everyone, but that's probably why I would say you think that.
Okay. Just another question that's come to mind. Do you think that sometimes you play the clown?
Do I play the clown? I wouldn't say the clown.
Okay.
I make comments and people either
go, you make humorous comments.
They either go
things,
or they laugh.
Yeah, I find it amusing because generally speaking, a joke is just a joke. It's not the thing.
Not these days, though, is it?
No, it's just a joke.
What do they call it? We'll get cancelled. You get cancelled for cracking on.
Exactly.
You'll get cancelled.
I'm not going to get cancelled.
No, I've been very well behaved here.
If people, I was going to say you are being very well behaved.
Thank you.
And what I would say is, if people don't enjoy watching, then you can just move on to Joe Rogan or something like that.
That's the problem with the with the left. They don't move on.
Yes.
They can't watch something. I use they like a disease. They can't watch something and go, I don't like that, and then just ignore it and leave it for everyone else to enjoy. They have to scrutinize and get it gone, get it deleted. And, what's the word I'm looking for? Censor. It needs to be all gone.
But that's what's interesting, isn't it? Because tolerance. So this is quite highbrow, right? But I believe tolerance is a paradox, right? Because the left, for example, crave tolerance. Okay. But they're intolerant to others' lack of tolerance. So therefore, it's a paradox. Does that make sense? You're saying is like, what you mean. They won't give up until they get their way. That's intolerance.
Yeah. And you'll tend to find that they are the ones that will turn to, in some cases, violence to get what they want. As opposed to us, we don't enjoy it and we will make a fuss about it. But it tends to be them that cause the riots, I would say, and cause carnage in the name of freedom, socialism, tolerance. Yeah, of course. So yeah, no, I agree.
Intolerance in the face of
you've just put it
tolerance.
in a much fancier way than I could have ever thought, but I'll give you it. Yeah. So
I like it. I'm going to hear you coining tolerance paradox elsewhere.
I will. I'm going to use that more often going forward.
It is true though.
It's very true.
And people
It's
hardly
very
ever
true.
people hardly ever point it out. It's really interesting how it came about that I recognised what that was though. I had something happen quite close to me regarding my family, around one part of my family saying, I'm going in a certain direction and you shall accept it. And I was like, okay. And that was when I discovered that there is a paradox to tolerance, because how can you enforce tolerance on somebody? That is intolerant in itself. So yeah, very interesting. Right, let's move on to my quick fire questions, mate, because
I'm excited. Go on then.
I'm conscious of your time and I believe you've done a fantastic job. And actually, I'm not getting cancelled off the back of this, so you've done amazing.
I
I'm
have
really
done
pleased.
well.
I've
kept
really
it very...
bit in your tongue. Very good. So my first quick fire question, how do you develop yourself?
How do I develop myself? Mainly by making bad decisions, apparently.
Okay.
But I do think that is the key to a lot of people's success. If people don't make a choice based on the fact that it could go wrong, just let it go wrong.
Yeah.
The best way to learn is to cock it up. It doesn't matter what it is, even if it's something basic. Plumbing in a dishwasher. You turn it on, water pisses everywhere. Guess what? You've done it wrong, but you fix it, and you next time you get it right. Yeah, it's a really bad example, but it's all that came to me.
And you make total sense. So there's like the old saying, like, you earn or you learn, right? And if you don't, if you're not earning, then you're learning something. But which is a very positive way of looking at it. But so what would you say? You learn from failure, but there's a whole swathe of like the common challenge for most people is they're totally shit scared of failing.
I think so. Yeah. I definitely agree with that. And it's not just business owners or people, your clientele and things like that. I'd say that's anyone in life. Yeah. Scared to make mistakes.
Because you're kind of living that, like, when people say, well, what would you do if you knew you, like, a great coaching question that coaches will often ask is, well, what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? You kind of... No, but you kind of
flip
live
a lot
that.
more than 7 times. That's what we'd do. Yeah. No, I mean, Jesus, the world's your oyster at that point.
Well, exactly, right. But the world is our oyster. If you're not scared of failing.
If you're not scared of failure, yeah.
So
if you cross the whole, do it and then figure out what happens along the way, alongside the idea that I said to you regarding writing down a problem and then marking off all the stuff you've got control over. If you can combine the whole non-fear and that together, you'll find that not only will you'll make more mistakes, but you'll fix them faster. Yeah. And then next time you won't make that mistake.
Do you know, after years of personal development, I've never heard that way of doing things either, by the way. Yeah. So that's a new one on me. I like that. You write down the problem and cross off all the stuff you can't control.
Correct, yeah. And what I found, I only heard it about 2 years ago, but people think I take the piss. I'm not. I do it religiously in some really random circumstances, not just business, but personal as well. Yeah. 9 times out of 10, I've got no control over nothing. There's normally about one thing left.
Well, we have very little control, yeah.
Exactly.
So there's my next question then. So here, it's not on my quick fire, but I'm going to ask you a question. I am, because it's a question that my coach asks me. How much of your success is down to your hard work, and how much of it is it down to just good luck in the universe?
Shit. How much is down to my hard work, and how much is down to just being in the right place at the right time? Business or personal?
Just go business.
Business? Very lucky. Very lucky. Yeah. Very lucky to be where I am. Right people at the right time, right place at the right time, bad people at the right time. Very lucky. Personal? Not so lucky. But that's down to bad decisions. Right. So.
Back on the quickfire questions. It's an interesting question, though, isn't it? And that's one for the audience to have a little think about. How much of your success is down to...
If you ask that in the comments bit, you'd get some good answers.
It's very egotistical to think that it's all down to our own hard work. It's very egotistical to think that. That is the conclusion I've come to. Yeah. The society tells us it's down to our hard work. You've got to work hard to be successful. But a lot of it is down to...
A lot of my business success, I would place in the hands of some key staff as well. I'd say that they're the reason that I am where I am, because of some key players.
Okay.
Would be further along if it weren't for some of them as well, but we won't talk about that.
No, of course. Win some, you lose some.
Yeah.
Second quickfire questions. These aren't so quickfire. 3 tips for success.
3 tips for success. Don't be scared to judge a book by its cover, for sure. You know, if you upset someone, it tends to be when someone's upset, you find out the most about them.
Okay.
You know, it's easy to put a face on and just talk and have a conversation with someone. But if you piss them off first, you'll find out a lot about them a lot quicker.
Okay.
Random way of doing it.
Yeah.
Not a good advice. Just my method.
Okay.
Another tip for success. Do what you say you're going to do when you're going to do it, which is, once again, a prime example of advice that I should listen to myself, because there has been occasions where I've said I'm going to do something and then a week later I do it. But yeah, no, that one is golden. If you say you're going to do somewhere, be somewhere, for anyone, business or personal, just do it.
Yeah.
And third one, don't be scared to take risk.
Nice. Like it. What advice would you give your younger self 20 years ago?
Jesus Christ.
I don't really know what I'm touching there, if that makes sense. But it's fine. I don't know enough about you to know. Yeah. What advice would you give yourself?
Jesus. I assume you mean knowing everything that I know now.
Knowing everything that you know now, what advice would you give yourself?
Oh, there's so much. It would be, I don't know if the wording for it, but it's going to be something on the lines of letting things go.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, there's a lot I need to let go of. Even now,
Okay.
I carry it around with me.
Okay.
My advice to anyone, just let it go.
Yeah. There's I recommend whenever people say things around like letting go, it's very true. It really landed for me. I had a real like eureka moment. It really landed for me when I listened to Guided Meditation by Deepak Chopra, which is very interesting, probably a bit woo-woo for you.
I don't know what that is. Yeah.
But Deepak Chopra, during his guided meditation, you can listen on YouTube or whatever like that, he will say about like essentially the process of meditation, breathing in, breathing out, focusing on your breath, doing the breath work. And basically it's very simple, because what happens when we hold on to our breath?
Well, you die if you hold on too long.
We suffocate, yeah. Which is basically the same as when we carry all our baggage around with us. You just end up suffocating because you can't let it go. So,
but once again, another prime example, I don't listen to my own advice.
No, exactly. That's fine. Cool. Right. Fourth question. What sacrifices have you made?
It's a good question. I just going back to the whole sort of not letting go of things. Like I said, I don't know if you're talking personal, then yeah, I've cocked some things up. Business wise, sacrifices. I'd without avoiding the question, I'd need to think about that one before I answered this.
That's fine.
And I don't want a 5-minute pause while I sit here and meditate.
The reason I ask sacrifice, and the reason I say this, is that you'll pull up to the petrol station in one of your supercars, right? And people will make a judgment of you based on that, but they don't really know what it takes to get there. Does that make sense? So the question's really around, people often just see the success or the material aspect of success without really realising that the purpose I ask it is that people often, to get the things they want in life, whether it's material or emotional, whatever it may be, there's an element of having to sacrifice something to get there. You know, you don't just get
I know
it.
what you mean. And I see a thing, whatever they call them these days, and it was like, the guy walking to work just wishes he could own a bike. The guy biking wishes he could buy a car. The guy on the car wishes he could, blah, blah, blah. And it goes on to private jets or whatever. And it's that sort of chain. And you made a good point there about, if I'm out in a car, someone says, you you've got too much money, you're happy with this, you're happy with that. And it's like, well, I'm miserable, you know, I'm not. But if I was at that point in time, you know, who's better off? You know, you're sat there, you know, you've got your missus and your kids and all that sort of stuff, and you're fine, you know, you get along, you're happy.
Yeah,
you know, but I might be sat there in a, you know, $200-300 car, but I might be having a bad day. And people don't care, you know, they only care, it's visual, you know, don't judge a book by its cover and all that sort of crap that we talked about previously. Yeah, there's a couple of, Peterson talks about that in one of his podcasts that he did about the whole geezer in the Ferrari. I think that's where you've got that from.
I just talk about sacrifices.
Oh, right, okay.
I just talk about, I don't steal anything from anybody. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, never.
Okay. My final quickfire questions that haven't been quickfire is, I don't know why I'm unlocking my pad, because I actually know what the question is. Discipline or motivation, which is more important and why?
Motivation than discipline, I would say. If you're motivated to do something, you'll tend to do it better anyway because you want it. People that are disciplined, I have a lot of respect for because, you know, people that diet and gym religiously, I don't do that. You know, that in itself, discipline is structured, and I hate to say it, but people that are more disciplined tend to make better employees than employers. Yeah. Whereas people that are motivated tend to make better employers. Okay. Maybe a controversial saying, but that's my stance on it.
Yeah. Okay.
If I'm motivated to do something, there is nothing that will stop me until I've done it.
Yeah.
Whereas if someone says to me, "Oh, you need to be here at that time or do this at that time," if I can't be asked, I ain't doing it.
Got you.
So I probably lack the discipline as opposed to the motivation, depending on what's on the table.
Yeah, of course. Thank you very much, mate.
No worries.
Has this been fun?
Loved it.
Have you? Good. I'm pleased. I've really loved it as well. Thank you for listening. Please do leave a 5-star feedback. I'm imploring 5-star feedback on our Apple account. Name drop Kieran. How controversial has he been today?
No.
I don't think he's getting me cancelled.
I haven't. I've been very well behaved.
Yeah, I've been very well behaved. Mate, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much. And thanks for listening. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us on today's It's Not So Lonely at the Top podcast. We really hope you've enjoyed today's podcast. I'm absolutely delighted that you took the time to listen, and I really hope that you'll subscribe to ensure that you receive future episodes too. If you want to find out any more, please do search It's Not So Lonely at the Top podcast, and you'll find it on your favourite podcast app. Thank you.